Now, how will I know the property of the browser? By using object spy. So when I click on the browser, you'll see that there is a runtime property. Okay. Now remember guys, we are not putting anything in the object repository. We are doing this everything on using descriptive programming. Therefore, the object repository will be empty, and the RO property is the runtime property. That is the property which is picked up during the running of the script from the application itself. So the application which we opened, it will have a name. Okay, it is saying Internet Explorer cannot be displayed, so currently it is not being displayed, that's why. So there's a name which is assigned to every browser. So if it is Google, then this name will have Google over here. So we can use this arrow property to identify the R page. So get arrow property, and inside you can use name. Okay, so if my name, arrow property name, is equal to, or instead of, we can use is equal to Google, but as I told you earlier, equal to is not the correct way of matching to strings, right? Equal is perfectly fine when we are using numbers, but equal is not the way in which we compare to strings. So for string comparison, if you remember, we had done some string function which was instr. Okay, so I'll show it over here in string. If you see the parameters, it says where do you want to start the comparison from. So starting from, suppose character 1, so we'll write 1 over here, the string which you want to, in which you want to search, and the second string in what you want to search. Okay, so I'll use it over here in str, and in bracket 1, since we are starting the comparison with the first character, starting from the first character. And if you see the name, browser dot get property, this will fetch me back the name, and this name we have to compare with Google. Sorry, okay, in double brackets Google. Okay, so if we found the search, so it will display the number, an integer. Suppose it starts matching from the first character. So if this becomes true, then it will return 1, and if it is false, then it will return 0. So that is, if Google matches with the name property, then it will return 1. But inside the if loop, we are closing everything except Google. So if it is not matching, that is if it is equal to 0, then we want to run the if condition. So when the arrow property name doesn't match with Google, then we'll close that browser. Okay, so this is the first approach. Now I'll show you the second approach. The second approach is simply, instead of using the ordinal identifier, we can also use the child objects. Okay, so let's say set child equal to, now as you know that like we declare different variables, you can also declare an object using set. Okay, set child says that child is an object, and object can contain objects. So as you know that desktop is an object itself, so I can either write desktop or I can write desktop dot child object. So whatever objects are inside, they are saved in this child. Okay, now once this is done, now child has this thing, has all the objects inside. So using indexing, I can find my child. So instead of using browser, which is the ordinal identifier, I can also use child, and in brackets I. So I is the indexing. Now as if you remember, indexing, it starts from 0, so we'll go from 0 to I count minus 1 instead of from 1 to I count. That is for browser creation time. And similarly, even inside the if, I can put this. So these are the two approaches in which you can execute this test. Now this test is this assignment that teaches you the application of child objects when you come across objects which belong to the similar class, to the same class, and have similar properties. So we can make use of child objects. And also in case of browser, if there are similar properties, we can use the browser creation time in order to click on, in order to perform operation on a particular object, on a particular browser to be specific. My next assignment is select the department checkbox employee whose address is Jaipur and Mumbai. So we are actually dealing with the table, and inside the table, okay, I'll show you the application. So this is my application, and this is my table. Inside table, I have different details of different employees, and based on the address, that is Mumbai and Jaipur, I have to click on this checkbox. Okay. So now, if you remember that we had understood a concept which we are going to apply over here, and that concept is child item. Now in child item, if you remember, if you want to perform an operation inside in an object which is inside the table, okay, then we can use child object. So using get cell data, if you remember, table.get cell data gives me the value of particular cell, but that is only to fetch the value. But if you want to perform some operation on the object which is inside the cell, then for example text box in our case, checkbox in our case, so for checkbox we'll use the child item. So let's see how we do it. So the first part should be easy for you, wherein we have a table, so we can let's use object repository. Remember guys, you can also do this using descriptive programming. So if you see, I'm adding the web table to my object repository, and when I drag it, the get cell data is the default action. So what I want is, first of all, if I go to get arrow property, I want the row count, and if you see, the row count over here for the web table is the rows, properties rows, which gives you the value of row count. We can simply write rows in it, and we can take this in a variable. So let's say IRC, that is integer row count. And for now, the table index, if you remember, starts with 1, 1. Okay, so emp number which is written over here, it is 1, 1. If you say Kolkata, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3. So row, column.